the meeting to order. This is the Winthrop Firehouse Building Committee meeting, September 25th, 2023, 6 p.m. in the Harvey hearing room. The roll call, Council President Lettieri.
Here.
Myself, Chief Wiley, Karen Chavez.
Here.
Frank Constantino. Kim Dimes.
Here.
Tom Chudina.
Here.
Josh Castellano.
Here.
Jill Dorr.
Here.
Larry Powers.
Here.
Chris Boyce. Jonathan Demaro.
Here.
Town Manager Marino.
Here.
Charles Flanagan. Joe Aiello. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, Paul Flanagan is in attendance.
I brought you the gavel.
At this time, we call the public hearing to order. Anybody in attendance would like to speak? This is your opportunity to hear. We'd like to hear from you. This meeting is broadcast live on WCAT, is also being broadcast on Zoom. The passcode for the Zoom is 394518. The phone number is 646-558-8656. Again, the phone number is 646-558-8656. The passcode 394518. This is also being broadcast live on WCAT and will be available on YouTube in about 48 hours. Anyone in attendance who would like to speak, please stand and state your precinct or address.
Why don't we have KBA do their presentation
do it
first?
first?
Yeah, so then we can see what they're speaking about.
All right, well, I guess a change of order, we will have, we have representatives from Castle Booze Architecture to give a presentation on Phase 2 of this proposed project. We have Larry Trim and
Eric Royce.
Eric Royce. Thank you, sir.
Apologies here, no power, so it's gonna keep cutting in and out of me, but as long as you guys keep me talking and I keep moving, I think I'll be fine. So, we just have to log this thing in, once it, oh, come on. Let's just try with the number. There we go. Oh, all right. I guess we should, have to connect up to this.
You were before.
Yeah.
We try plugging it in again.
Yep.
Hit present.
There we
There
go.
you go.
I wanted to update the group on the results of the meeting that we had with the chiefs, just to discuss how a future police facility would connect up. And a couple of really neat things happened that I think just makes this kind of a better and more efficient project. And so the image I have up right now is the last image that we had before we had the meeting, right, if you may remember that. And then we sent some renderings, which I think have been shared before. And that shows the police facility on top of the existing facility with some additions on it and a bridge connecting the two, right? One of the neat things that happened is we had been avoiding putting program above the apparatus bay, but by raising the apparatus, the second floor to over 18 feet, we were able to take and put the dormitories right above the apparatus bay, which gave it a nice high profile. So we can have windows that work and part of the dormitories right above that. And the big thing that Chief Wiley appreciated was now the command and the firefighters can be on the same level, their dormitories. And that also opens up a little bit more space in the admin wing, so that health can move up to one of the upper floors. So we're very excited by that. We basically have those two updates. And what it did also is it aligned the second floor of the fire station so that it would align more with the future second floor of the police station. That's the other thing that happened. It aligned the second floor.
So now, looking at this,
Yeah,
we're looking at the current police station
yeah, down in the
with an
corner,
addition on the top?
on the top of it. So
And is it
basically,
down the back too? Am I seeing that?
yes, it goes down the back too, and it has program for the police station in the future that would be above the Sally Port.
Because right now that's an entrance.
Yes,
Will that entrance go?
the entrance will go because there'll be two garage doors.
Okay,
One will be for the Sally Port,
yep,
and one will be for parking, which would be under in that whole area where the Sally Port is and the part of the property
Gotcha.
that has
Okay.
the access going up to the top.
mhm,
That's gonna be gone, all that stuff's gonna be underground. And just a few spaces, again, as we had before, at level for the fire department, and some shared space between the two buildings where the bridge.
so that bridge or whatever you wanna call it between the two buildings,
Yeah.
that will be over those 17 parking spaces?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that configuration remains the same.
Okay,
Yeah, if you remember, when we started this exercise, what we wanted to show is show that the program could fit, show that we could do something architecturally interesting. I think this is much more interesting now. It's a nice
mhm,
long line, and those updates to the fire station, I think will prepare the site nicely for whatever happens in the future with the
Mhm.
police station. Accommodate it nicely.
So the dormitories on the top would be phase one.
Dormitories up on top on the new building would be phase one, and then phase two would be the bridge, and the parking, below the lot, right? And the updated Sally Port and entrance to that garage.
Understanding this is conceptual,
Yeah.
is there, is a program right now where the public need not go to the second floor at all?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I believe what we did, so there was some conceptual, nothing that we could share, because it's so rudimentary. But I believe the entrance winds up being exactly where the entrance is right now,
okay.
on the main level, for the police facility. And there's another vestibule on the same, see if I go to the next slide and see that a little bit more. Just the stairs and the elevator for the police station is probably two. One on the side where detention is, and another one on the side where the public is. Where that bridge is, has another public stair and, a stair and an elevator, so you'd get access. We would have to build that outside the footprint of the existing police station. You don't have to, it's just much easier, much more cost effective if you don't try and put the elevator inside the old footprint.
Larry, I know they're gonna be, could be 6 years apart, 8 years apart, hopefully sooner. Utility-wise, 2 boilers, 2 generators, 2 separate, no umbilical cord type thing, 2 separate facilities combined.
We can do that. I have seen, if this is a true public safety facility, we have facilities where there's one big unit. It would have to be sized, and it would cost
Yes.
that, all the switchgear and everything, you'd be paying for all that up front. It might be more cost effective to put a separate unit. Of course, we're fighting for space on the site,
Yeah.
so we'd have to look at that. Now, in a number of the facilities that we've been working on, a lot of times the generator is up. So you can't get access to the generator from the outside, which I think is a good thing for public safety
Yeah,
facility.
it's on the roof of the police station.
Exactly.
So the two columns, the two brick columns, now one of them is gonna be on the sidewalk and the other one's gonna be set back?
Are you talking about the two,
Yeah, the two
towers?
brick
Yeah,
towers.
so one is a stair tower on the right, and again, a lot of I have some disagreements with
Okay.
some of the architecture around there. But that one essentially houses the elevator and the stairs, the main elevator and stairs.
The one that's on the
right.
sidewalk,
The one that's on the sidewalk.
okay.
The one all the way on the left is a tower for the fire station.
And that's on
they
the
do-
other side of the,
That's on the other side of the apparatus bays.
okay,
Kind of between the apparatus bays and the accessory bays.
okay,
Yeah, and that's a lot of times used for training and
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. It connects directly, it's right in front of the
Mhm.
mezzanine. So from the apparatus bay, a lot of the training can happen on the interior and exterior, immediately adjacent to the apparatus.
but that doesn't change the size of the apron or anything like that?
No, it's just a,
Okay.
exactly.
Do we lose any parking with that?
Nope. Nope, if you may remember that the mezzanine, right? The tower sits right at the mezzanine. It's
Okay.
just an extension of the mezzanine, and goes up. And so we always had an island, at that location, specifically for that. And there's a lot of flexibility on what can happen in the courtyard. I'm excited about the fact that you'll have more parking spaces than you had before. Not all the parking spaces you should have, but certainly more than you have right now.
The intent of the skywalk or the bridge here is to allow vehicles to travel underneath?
Yes.
Okay.
And then to have access from inside the building for sharing some training type facilities. Big training rooms and that sort of stuff. There's an opportunity to be able to share those kind of things between the fire station and the police department.
Is there any actual programming in that skywalk area, or is it just?
It's just walk, but I do like the idea of making it a little larger and actually putting some program in there. When it's just a corridor, as you're probably alluding to, it's kind of a very expensive corridor to suspend it, and it's got, exterior walls on both sides of it, so it's a little bit, it's gonna add a little bit more for heat. So from a program standpoint, the more you put inside whatever's touching the other building, the more efficient the building and the cost become.
What is that span? Do you know offhand?
Let's see. You might have.
It's about 50 feet.
50 feet.
From the building to the building?
Yeah.
Now, what happens to the police station when this phase 2 starts? Are they,
If you're gonna build on top of the existing
Yeah.
police station, the police department would have to relocate to.
They would
where
have to
it is.
relocate.
Yes, yeah. To build on top of that, you do have to demolish the inside and put new structure to hold, with to shore up the existing. It's done inside in close quarters like this all the time. And there is a cost to that.
a cost to relocate?
There's definitely a cost to relocate, and the cost to build inside a new facility to kind of keep the facade, there's a little bit of a premium on there as well too.
We talk about the big apron that the fire department's been dying to have their whole career.
Yes.
With that big apron comes tons and tons of snow. Can the apron store its own snow, or does it have to be hauled?
I don't think so. It's very tight as it is. As you know, just because of the depth of the site, one of the things that we had to do was that part of the street becomes part of the apron. We couldn't get the 80 feet, the 80 feet we needed before getting to the street, so a portion of that's on the street.
Can the apron be heated with the thermal?
Next question.
Yes. Yep.
And then it just melt it, there's no need to store anything in
That's a
the
great
aprons? Right? As I understand it, precedent is that the slab itself is heated. Why not take that all the way out into the apron itself?
Yes.
Then you don't have to worry about anybody pulling their back, trying to shovel it out.
And there's no downtime.
That's right.
That's always open. I'm sure we'll have one nor'easter where it's just too much snow. We'll see.
And can the firehouse be moved, I know we're doing this as phases, I'm just a little concerned about the efficiency of that sky bridge. Like you said, it's just a very expensive corridor. If it shifts to the right, driveway's on the left side of parking to the back, because right now you would need it to get to the back, right?
No, that area has parking, it has nothing other than pedestrian access
Okay.
behind it. It just goes in the middle and stops right there.
And it's just a dead end bay of parking, it doesn't go through.
I see.
Right, and it's got the Jenny and the transformer and the dumpsters
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Okay, I understand now.
You could, but, you know, we're trying to hold, I'm probably using the wrong numbers, so it's probably 20 feet ideally for the depth of a parking spot.
Close
And
enough, yeah.
24 feet you'd like for two-way,
For your aisle,
for your aisle.
that allows you to back up.
That allows you to back up. We've done them skinny, but it's not ideal, and everybody's got a pickup these days, right?
So you've got, you said 50 feet?
50 feet where because we have a stair, and an elevator coming down and meeting it, so that's
But you
gonna
need 60 feet,
it's 60 feet.
2 bays of parking in the
Oh,
aisle.
yeah.
There's only one bay in an aisle.
And the concept here is doubling the footprint of the police station, or roughly?
Footprint of the police station is something like 5,000 square feet, it's not big. And
Not the footprint, excuse me, it's increasing the square footage.
it's increasing the square footage to about 33,000. It's almost, they're roughly, the fire station and the police station will be roughly about the same size each. 33 square feet.
So now what's gonna be on the first floor of the police station, as it stands now?
As it stands right now, there's detention and, in the lowest level, down the basement area.
Right,
There's a firing range, and then the Sally Port also connects in there.
Okay.
And then there, what's that?
Parking and circulation.
But you're talking about the existing police
Yes,
station,
that's
right?
the existing.
police station, right. And then on the upper floors, you have, the reception area, communication, I think, is also, on that floor. And then the departments, they have departments upstairs, like, there's some lieutenants upstairs.
Detectives are upstairs.
What's that?
Detectives are
Detectives
upstairs.
are upstairs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Hanway's, all right?
Back page again. In this new facility,
Mm-hmm,
the detention area moves a little further down, because the Sally Port door moves down a
Mhm.
little bit. And so, there's gonna be some detention in the, well, to kind of induct the, I don't know what to call it.
You want the detainee?
The detainees, yeah, to induct the detainees, kind of log them in and process them. And then probably a good portion of the detention area will still be in the footprint at the lower level, but just refurbished, renovated and expanded a bit. And same thing with the firing range, there would be enough room to expand it a little bit to the right height, and then there's some mechanical equipment for the firing range that'll probably be up on the roof, kind of hidden in the roof.
so then what would be on the new rendition? When you get to the new part, the second floor that you're gonna build up there?
Probably.
That's gonna be all
Command, lieutenants.
with no access for the public?
The public will sometimes have reasons, you'll be able to get there, you have to go through some security to get there, if you need to meet in the office of
Okay.
a detective. There may be some community departments. I think there's gonna be space down on the main level for the community engagement portion of it, but it's not uncommon to have training rooms and the like on the second floor. We like to put on the main level, big meeting rooms so that you can have press conferences, and other community type meetings. And then I would expect that, administration, command would be up on the second level with the, detectives and whatnot.
Another silly question, where is locker rooms and showers and stuff for the,
Locker rooms, I believe, are gonna be on the second floor.
second floor?
Yeah. I think patrol is gonna be on the second floor, for the most part.
So for phase one of this project, the firefighters will have everything they need on phase one.
Yes,
They're not relying on phase two to supply anything for the firefighters.
absolutely.
However, phase two will permit for the police station to use some of those facilities on the fire station, be it
Yes.
training or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And there's plenty of time to decide what the final configuration of the police department. You may choose to, have some program in the bridge. You may choose to utilize some of the site for, just depending on what department wants to be closer on the main level. And then the health department would be able to function as a part of phase one as well. They'll have everything they need right in this.
Right in the fire station.
Only thing is, so the way we designed it so that the parking the parking in the future would go below the site. That can happen after the fact. And the way we designed it, the first half, it aligns with the back, it goes straight from the back of the addition of the police station, straight back until it reaches the fire station lower level. But if you wanted to, and you wanted to create more space, we could actually dig out the whole parking area between the two buildings and make that all parking down below. So again, there's some opportunity there. I think we got something like
Yeah.
30 spaces?
So do two layers of parking, with the lower level being accessed from Pauline Street,
Yes,
and then the main level access from Winthrop Street with no connection between the two.
yes.
Correct.
And you could keep the parking under the building specifically for staff between the two buildings and give everybody access.
If you're familiar with the existing Sally Port and underground
I
parking.
don't know what the selling point is, I don't think. Is it
Is
part of the garage?
It's the
Yeah,
large garage door on
Okay.
Pine Street.
That's specifically that program,
Okay.
and that allows, you bring in the prisoners in the car there, and the door shuts. Once the garage door shuts, then it allows the other door for them to be processed, to be opened. In this particular case, we have, sorry about that. In this particular case, we have a two-sided sally port, so that the door would open to go in for two cars. At a time, the doors close, and then, once the door's closed, then the other door can open. Or, if you open a door going into the processing area for the police station, then you can't open the garage door. It interlocks everything, so
Okay.
you can only open one door at a time. Like where they bring the money in the casinos.
But if you're familiar with that existing garage, it basically widens and extends that underground space for where the fire department will be.
Yeah, generalizing, in preparation for phase two, really wouldn't increase the cost of our project
No.
from concept.
Any excavation that you did for phase two, you'd do as part of phase two. And from a standpoint of future connections to the fire station, we would plan what the construction looks like, so those things can be easily modified and connected to. At the lower level, the main level, and the second level. Give you maximum flexibility.
So the underground parking would not be tied into the Sally Port at all?
If we expanded, I was looking at this today, if we expanded the access to the garage so that it went around the corner, right, then the Sally Port could exit into the garage, take a right and go out, which I think would be great. And we-
Conceptually, we haven't thought it all the way through, but looking at it, it looks like we've got a couple different options on how we configure that
So the
Sally.
Sally Port obviously has to be separate from people, employees going into park. It has to be
Yes.
a completely separate thing
Completely separate.
altogether.
Right,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
In fact, the entrance to the garage will have, it simply won't work to drive up for the regulars. You can do all kinds of ways. We've been doing them a lot with the license plate readers. Right, so you drive up to the staff parking garage, it should open when you come up. The police car, police vehicles, it'll open as well, the staff parking area. The Sally Port, you have to be let in. Nobody can just go up and have it open.
Understood, I just wanna make sure it was
Yeah, yeah.
completely separate from the parking. and-
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, whether it enters into the garage or not, it'll have the same lockouts.
And you would have an entrance from that garage, if it's for all the employees parking both facilities,
Yeah.
there'd be an entrance out of the garage to the police station, and there'd be an entrance out of that underground garage to the fire station, correct?
So what we would typically, because it's one area, right? What we would do is we would work with the departments and assign the parking for squad cars, for,
No, I understand, but to get out of there, when I go in and park my car,
Yeah,
if I'm going to the fire station, there'll be an exit out of the parking for fire, and then an exit out of the parking to get to the police station, or no?
no, that's, oh, you mean from the garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a separate door from the garage going into the fire station, and then a separate door from the garage going into
Thank
the
you.
police station. Took me a little while, but I got there.
Maybe I didn't explain it clearly.
Yeah.
Before we go to Zoom, anybody else on the committee, any committee members have any questions for them?
I think this is just, it's really important to conceptually take a look at this. To give people an idea where we're going, where we're looking in the future. And it also gave us the opportunity to make a few adjustments on the fire side, which, everybody understands there's nothing concrete in the total design, but you see the opportunity to make enhancements that just, makes it that much more feasible and attractive for the use of the firemen. But, I thank you guys for putting this together for us so we could conceptualize it and take a good look at it. And so the public has a chance to see, what the goal is here. Thank you for that.
I should have a question. So with this new plan, that would have, for the new building, that would have command, like the chief's office, deputy's office, all on the same floor as the on-duty personnel for the firefighters?
That might be an admin floor.
Okay,
So, but what we're talking about is the dormitories for lieutenants and whatnot would be on the same level as the
The
firefighters.
previous concept had lieutenants and captains, dormitory rooms on the third floor,
Right.
with the dozen or so firefighters, individual dormitory rooms on the second floor.
oh, okay.
So we wanted the immediate supervisors to be on the same
Oh,
floor
I
as
see,
the
okay. When you said command, I thought it meant like the chief's
We
office.
we went with shift
Yeah.
command. So shift command would all, so the entire on-duty shift would be on the same floor.
Okay.
Admin would probably be on the third floor, the deputy's office, fire prevention office,
Yeah.
chief's office, and
And what-
emergency management.
And underneath that bridge for the first floor, would that be the health department area?
I think the health department's gonna have to be on the third floor.
Okay.
Myself, because a lot of times there's program for the fire station on that main level.
Is there any plan for the first floor for that entrance over there? For the, is there a first floor area? Right next to the closest tower?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the main lobby.
Okay.
We get to from there, I'm trying to remember, is it the watch? Is the watch? Yeah, it's in the
Watch
corner.
right down in the corner.
Yeah, right, and then there's some other program, back there that supports the apparatus bay,
Okay. Thank you.
that has to be on the first floor.
Yeah.
One good thing is we have a lot more flexibility about where the access to the apparatus bay for the dormitories are. So we would have to look at that in more detail, but that could free up a little bit more space on that main level.
Larry, what's the accommodation for the health department? How many personnel?
I want to say,
Ideally,
ideally, let's see if I have a program.
Phase two.
What's that? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Phase station.
We included even an office, because there is an office associated with the police department at the health department. So we accommodated that program. Let's see if I can properly here.
It's 8? Yeah, I think it's 8.
Yeah, it's a fair amount of
Up to 8,
space.
yeah.
8 employees, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, up to 8.
It's just waiting areas.
Correct. That's what allows the original, keep the existing and a little expansion.
I think it's important, as Jim said, for everybody, especially the public, to understand that this is just conceptual. It's just to show how massing might be done, how the buildings might be tied together. It's not an acceptance or suggestion even that we're gonna be doing upglazed, second story, and it's too early, with those residential type dormers. I think it's very conceptual. It's just to understand what the massing of that street might look like and the opportunity might be there to connect these two buildings. I think it does that, but there's a lot more development to be done.
Definitely.
I'm gonna connect on my phone, and if I can, I'll pull that up, that data from here. I don't think it's in this report.
Chief, may I ask
Mr.
what
Constantino.
input was provided for this conceptual arrangement?
I'm sorry?
What input was provided, and who provided it from the town?
There was a meeting between some representatives from KBA, myself, the town manager, and the police chief. I believe Mr. Lettieri was on. Were you on as well?
It's okay.
He was not.
I can also weigh in on some stuff that
Sure, of
happened
course.
beforehand as well.
Of course.
So we did an extensive study of the existing facilities, and then we did what we call programming, which is where we take and, based on the information we have about the number of facilities, what's gonna happen in the future, then we can tell what kind of spaces and how big they need to be and what they need to accommodate. And that's what creates the program that we were referring to right here. I just don't have that other last piece of the program, but that tells us how many people are gonna be in the room, what kinds of equipment is gonna be in that room, what it needs to be next to, and we call that the program.
Larry, was there anything program-wise that was not able to be achieved for the police? Anything on their wish list that you don't
not in
think they're
this-
gonna be able to?
Not on this site. And some other sites, there was not enough room for firing range. But because there's an existing firing range here, it just took a little bit to just extend that. a
So
bit.
that would be
That
extended
would
in
be-
this plan,
that would
so
be-
they'd have a short range and a long range.
No, there would just be one range that was a little longer than what they have right now. What they have right now is a little short. Yeah.
So the answer is no, everything fit.
Everything fit. That's it.
Are there any other questions or comments from the committee before we go to Zoom?
One last thing, I would assume with dormitories over the apparatus floor, they'd be certainly environmentally separate, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna treat that separation like an outside wall.
Is that gonna come all the way across the apparatus floor, or?
All the way across the apparatus floor, double-sided.
Is the,
So it's not gonna be, excuse me one second,
No,
it's not gonna be like a balcony effect looking out over the apparatus floor?
I think well, we had planned on having the windows at the back look at the roof, you know, the roof on the other side of the apparatus bay. And then the front would look on the street.
Okay.
But if we wanted to, we could create something where there would be like a big lounge and you could look into the apparatus bay.
I'm just,
Yeah, it's,
my main concern is that they are environmentally separated, so
Separated.
no problems or fumes or whatever coming from the apparatus bay is going to get up into the living quarters, because that's the problem now.
that is.
I believe typically, don't they now in the newest facilities use completely separate ventilation systems for each floor? So there's no cross-contamination, there is no opportunity for
No
cross-contamination.
Cross-contamination, and all the partitions and the panels are sealed. There's a lot of things to do for that.
Because I do know in the existing stations, prior to them putting the exhaust systems in for the apparatus, the second floor, we'd have to, like the TV screen, once a day you'd wipe it and it would be black.
Really?
From the diesel exhaust coming from downstairs, yeah.
So now, just to be clear with this police station renovation addition, I don't know what we're gonna call it. The whole building as it stands now will be renovated. It's
Yes.
not going to be, we're just gonna go in and throw some paint up.
No. No, it has.
I mean,
to
I
be
know you're gonna
presented.
put on the second floor, and you said you had to make some changes on the first floor.
We have to wipe out the
Okay,
the
so,
floors below.
just so everybody knows, the police are not just getting just some paint and stuff thrown down. They are getting a new facility with the same exterior.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a great way of putting it.
Okay,
You know, the same two sides facing the street.
right, right.
That's it.
I mean, you said the entrance could change, the entrance might stay the same, but not necessarily the stairs and so forth that are there, that could change.
Yes.
Okay, and we know that the side is gonna change, where now there is an entrance up.
I think we found a way to kind of keep the ramp and keep that.
Oh,
elevation
okay.
First floor, the mezzanine is just too low, so we'd wipe all of that down.
Okay,
And then there's gonna be, in the lower level, there's gonna be a lot of structural type stuff up against the walls, but we're expanding that into the new construction to provide that additional space that's required for the detention area.
Mr. Constantino?
Apologize for my late arrival. Were there schematic drawings or diagrams that you put together to show the linkage and the functions within the building that we see in 3 dimensions?
That's in 3 dimension, yes.
No, you have schematics and plans that show what the configuration is. of
For the
this
police
building.
station?
No.
For the fire station, we do, not for the police station. That was done, we did that specifically to put a concept together for the rendering, but we did put a program together for that, and we did do a layup markup for it, but it's not a 3-dimensional, the program is not modeled in here 3-dimensionally.
I see. Is part of this planning exercise something that you're gonna provide to this committee at this stage, or is that gonna happen at a later stage?
That would happen at a later stage, when that becomes a real project for the police, that phase 2 becomes a real project. Then part of that would be a schematic that would include all of that. Now this one, because as it turned into more of a fire station project, that one has a 3-dimensional schematic model that's all.
You
a part
provided
of
that
it.
earlier, is that right?
Yes.
And that's not been updated since?
This hasn't.
Just got one final question. Just to go off what Chief Powers was saying, he said the dormitory. What about like gym/showers and stuff? Would that be would that be separated, like an outside wall, like you were just saying, or
That
more?
would be, so the,
He's talking about decontamination, so.
oh, decon, that's part of the program that's in
Yeah.
on the first floor.
Okay.
That's talking about that might move if, now that we're expanding the dormitories to connect to the other side
Okay.
of the mezzanines.
One other quick question. The living quarters, both dormitories, kitchen facilities, workout facility, we'll call all that the living facilities. Do they you're gonna positive pressure that facility, or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say the separation between the hot and cold, we'll call it, right, just for contamination, is a paramount engineering that happens on
As it
that
should
side of
be.
the building.
Thank you.
Mr. Castellano.
I had was for the public, if there's anybody on Zoom that we haven't gotten to.
That was,
I think there's
if
at
we're,
least 2 other folks on there.
again, Mr. Constantino.
Are there any considerations at this stage, given the fact that the building is facing east and south, for any solar collection, any panels, and LED functions to get this building, up to that standard?
We have not done it as part of that, but it's ready for it. You know, just how the building is oriented. Yeah, but it has not been a part of that design. That will be a part of, when you get into doing the schematic design and it turns into a real project, all of that can be included. And whether you put solar on it or not, it will be solar ready, meaning that we will have panel space for inverters, we will have pathways for all of that stuff. In terms of lighting, it's gonna be LED anyway. I don't think we can get the other stuff anymore. It's gonna be completely updated from that standpoint.
Did I miss the point of your visit and some of the evaluation of the LED criteria and installations that were done in Lexington, for example, Chief? Is that related to the architects?
Are you referring to LED for the lighting or LEED?
LED.
Yes, that was part of.
A lead standard for,
LEED, yes. But part of our, our mission statement clearly states, item 4 is our environmental stewardship, embracing sustainability. We commit to minimizing our ecological footprint throughout the construction and operation of this firehouse by incorporating eco-friendly materials, energy-efficient systems, and green practices. We'll contribute to the well-being of our environment and promote a healthier future. So every intention to make this as environmentally friendly as possible.
Well, I think what Frank is saying is a little different. Environmentally friendly is one thing, but being LEED certified is.
Well, that was a goal when we showed the Lexington, when we showed Lexington, that was one of the things we referred to. We
Right.
stressed that they were LEED certified. I think it was gold certified.
Yep.
And that was a goal of ours.
And there are gonna be decisions along the way. Some will have cost impacts, some will have infrastructure impacts, and we're gonna keep a scorecard of that to kind of keep us on track. And if it's a decision to go left or right, then that will be the group's decision to make that, and we'll follow through on it. Did that answer your question? Yeah. It's a normal part of the design process for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the committee? All right, I guess we can go to Zoom. If anybody would like to ask a question on Zoom, use the raise your hand feature.
Nothing.
Nothing on Zoom. Anyone in the audience for any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Judy Bono. I'm with the Historic Commission. I like the design, except what strikes me, and I know this isn't a final design, if you're going to keep the facade of the Winter Police Department, why did you, I know this isn't final, why did you make it so straight on the second floor? Why didn't you
I
follow the
hate
design?
that. But I didn't have time for input on that. To me, it would follow the profile, right, of the existing footprint down below, and then you actually see the structure come up from behind it. That is coming, between the windows and everything, you see that come up and create some more detail, along the addition up above.
So it's not going to be straight like that?
No, in fact, it really shouldn't. It needs to follow the profile to be efficient and that was just in the designer's eye, and he was putting them all together.
Because that's way too much glass.
Yes, for a police station, probably.
I do have another question.
Mr. Constantino?
Yes, for the architects again. You're aware that this is a historic district?
Yes,
Okay, and that the surrounding buildings, which were, a number of which were designed and constructed in the early 1900s by one architect, as it turns out. But that, this whole environment does represent, part of the ongoing history of the community. So, given the fact that the post office also, was part of that historic district, are you taking, some of the qualities, characteristics, architectural features of the post office and sort of using that as a point of departure for either the addition or the fire station itself?
yes. In fact, so not all of this was able to be done now at this conceptual stage, but really we need to do a study, kind of a street study, and have basically do elevation streetscape studies going down the street, down the other street, and let's see. Also, we took into consideration, we started looking at these concepts, we took consideration of the square itself, so that it would respond to the open area that was across the street. The updated design that we have now creates a lot more opportunity for some green space in front of the building, in an artful way to kind of reflect what's going on across the street and complement it.
Well, the scale of the trees is much better in this view than the previous one.
Yes. Yeah. And we would do that study here as well as here. If improvements were proposed for down Pauline Street, on the other side of the street, if we were designing at the time, we would take all of that into consideration.
Thank you.
No comments on Zoom? No, no one on Zoom. Anybody else in the room wish to be heard?
I just have a quick
Sir.
question. John DeRoss, Precinct 6. Maybe out of scope for what you guys have done conceptually with this, but I'm just curious, some of the feedback I've heard from some of the residents that live nearby on Winthrop Street, they're just concerned about the impact on traffic flow, and it's not so much about the radius or the apparatus getting in and out of the facility, it's more about impact once they're actually on Winthrop Street. I mean, I live at Shirley and Coral, so I live a couple of blocks down from one of the existing fire stations, and those guys, I mean, they're pulling in and out so fast that it has no impact on traffic flow in Shirley. Is there anything that you guys have put into this design, or were you asked to think through that at all about the impact on traffic flow or on the street?
The immediate thing that we've noticed, because the apparatus bay is so large, it's.
Excuse me, Larry, you have to talk into
Oh,
that
I'm sorry about
microphone.
that. Sorry
The
about that.
WCAT won't hear you.
One thing that we notice is that it does take away a fair amount of parking along the street, so I think that's gonna have an impact. In situations like this, normally where you have the apron going into the street, a lot of times it's augmented by signaling, which would be anytime the fire department was responding to a call or coming back, it would stop traffic so they can do what they need to do, and then the traffic signal would go back to normal.
So it sounds like the only impact really is the taking away of some parking.
Yes.
Okay.
And just for the people in that neighborhood, that is, we have prescribed routes that we respond to. We respond the same time, all the groups to certain areas of town. And that is a prescribed route. The Winthrop Street is a prescribed route to 2 or 3 of the major districts that we respond to in town. We travel on Winthrop Street multiple times, numerous times a day, and without issue.
Thank you guys so much for the presentation, and I know you worked very hard to get us some conceptual drawings, and we appreciate that. We've been talking since the beginning about there is a phased approach, but it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to see it, and to see that it's viable, it's an option, it's there. And we thank you very much for that, and for taking the time out.
Thank you. Thank you as well. I mean, this group has been very helpful. Meeting with the departments has also been very helpful. So you could, make us sensitive to some of the things that you're sensitive to, and then we can come back with things that respond to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, someone who's gonna work there, it looks fantastic with like all the bricks and stuff like that. It really does.
Town Manager Marino.
Larry, if you could get us something to put up on the website and on our page, sort of a breakdown of this, so we can have something to put up there
Oh,
the
absolutely.
next day or two, so we can get it up, and so the general public can see it as they're scrolling through our page.
We'll take care of that.
Thank you.
You snuck in, I didn't see you.
He's getting so thin, you can't even see him anymore, he's just kinda like.
Any other comment from the committee?
Well, I just think that, I know at the beginning, the chief said that there will be some sort of a signal that will go into effect when those trucks, before they leave even the building.
Yes.
Something will happen to start the signals, to stop the flow of traffic, so there's not gonna be issues.
And that's a very common thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably something we should have now.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
For every
Probably.
intersection you go through.
Yeah.
So that the guys don't have to jump off the truck to hold up traffic.
Which is what they do. Well, part of the reason they do that is because we have no apron at all. As soon as we come out of the station, we're in the street. So,
So,
any other comment from the room?
no, but this was very, very good. I could not imagine how you were gonna accomplish this with the police station. Knowing, I mean, I knew it was as a post office when I was a kid. It was a post office, and then they made it into a police station. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Chief, the only other thing I would say really quick
Sure.
to Mr. Constantino's point is about the historic nature of the buildings there, for the Wadsworth building. I think we talked about this at a town council meeting recently. I think we've all seen towns that have had to modernize facilities and look at spots to do that where there is historic building. I know in Melrose, when I lived there for 8 years, we had that going on. I know where I grew up in Maine, we had some towns that intentionally, when they were building new facilities, they took into account the character of the historic buildings that they were either replacing or they were gonna be abutting next to. So, just something to keep in mind maybe for the, future iterations of the facade of the building. Because obviously on the right-hand side, you're keeping that same facade of the existing, police station. The left-hand side looks completely modernized, and I know there was some talk about, is it possible to even take some, and this is just brainstorming, but some pieces of the facade of the Wadsworth building, or somehow capture its character and retain that in this future design. So I'm sure that's been part of your plan, but
It is, and we actually, if you look at across the street at the ATC school, that has taken architectural pieces from the Willis School, along with architectural integrity from the E.B. Newton and such, so it was very mindful
Right.
back then.
exactly, yep, could be a good move.
And just a reminder too for everyone, sorry, this committee was put together with that goal, the affirmative vote on November 7th. The makeup of this committee was put together for just that reason. As we said, this is just like Lego pieces going together, but we've got historic, some representation, we've got a lot of, architects on the board and everything else, so all of that can be tied together and get the historic look we want, when this is all said and done. And that's when the real work starts.
I don't know, John, if you've ever stood in front of the fire station on Pauline Street and look over
Yeah.
at the Willis School, at the Cumming School,
Yeah.
and notice the peaks, and then look at the E.B. Newton. A lot of people don't realize that.
No, I've never noticed that.
Hmm.
Okay, with that, we're gonna close the public comment, the public hearing. Our next meeting will be here on Monday, October 2nd, again at 6 PM here in the Harvey Room. We'll Zoom that meeting again as well. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Chavez, seconded by Council President Lettieri. All those in favor? No opposed. The meeting is adjourned.